It's her signature. That is the most Caitlin Clark way to win a game.
Yeah.
And you just extended the range, or did you have to change something?
My
in order
form has
to?
always been my form. It's like always been the same, and I give a lot of credit to my dad. He was my first ever basketball coach, but
17.1 points, 8.2 assists, and now the first triple-double by a rookie in WNBA history. Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball, she's rewriting the record books. But here's the kicker, she's just getting started. You might be thinking, how much better can she get? Well, buckle up, because we're about to show you why WNBA execs are losing sleep over Clark's potential. Remember when Caitlin Clark was tearing up college basketball? She wasn't just good, she was otherworldly, breaking records left and right, leading Iowa to the national championship game, and capturing the hearts of basketball fans everywhere. But here's the thing, college success doesn't always translate to the pros. And when Clark entered the WNBA draft, there were plenty of doubters.
well, the first thing is I feel like I know if it's going in right off my hand, and I think that just speaks to how much time I put in and how many shots I've taken.
Caitlin Clark unloads!
It's Caitlin Clark.
Her basketball IQ, her court vision, you just can't say enough about it.
You might be thinking, how could anyone doubt Caitlin Clark? Well, some critics said she was too small, too flashy, or that her game wouldn't work against the elite athletes of the WNBA. They questioned her ability to adapt to the faster pace and more physical style of play. But Clark? She didn't just hear those doubts, she crushed them. From the moment she stepped onto a WNBA court, Clark has been nothing short of sensational. We're talking about a rookie averaging over 17 points and 8 assists per game. That's not just good, that's all-star level production right out of the gate. But it's not just the numbers that are turning heads, it's how she's doing it. Now, have you ever watched Steph Curry play? That's what Clark is bringing to women's basketball. Her long-range shooting is redefining what a good shot looks like in the WNBA. She's pulling up from way beyond the arc, forcing defenders to guard her as soon as she crosses half court. And her court vision? It's like she's got eyes in the back of her head. She's threading passes through impossibly tight windows, creating scoring opportunities that simply didn't exist before. But here's where it gets really interesting. Clark isn't just putting up impressive stats. She's changing the entire dynamic of the game. When she's on the court, defenses have to completely alter their game plan. They can't sag off. They can't help on drives. Because if they do, Clark will make them pay. And that opens up the floor for her teammates in ways we've never seen before in the WNBA. Now, you might be wondering, is this sustainable? Can she keep this up for an entire season? Well, if her college career is any indication, this is just the beginning. Clark has a work ethic that's second to none. She's constantly in the gym, refining her shot, studying film, looking for any edge she can get. And that's what separates the good players from the great ones. But let's talk about impact beyond the court for a second. Clark isn't just changing the game, she's changing the entire landscape of women's basketball. TV ratings are up, ticket sales are through the roof, social media is buzzing every time she steps on the court. She's bringing new fans to the game, fans who might have never watched women's basketball before. You won't believe what Caitlin Clark just did. She didn't just have a good game, she shattered a record that stood for years. Remember Tamika Catchings, the Fever legend who dominated the league for over a decade? Well, Clark just blew past her record for most three-pointers in a single game, and she did it as a rookie. But it's not just about the numbers, it's how Clark is doing it. Her style of play is unlike anything we've seen in the WNBA before. While traditional stars might rely on power moves in the paint or mid-range jumpers, Clark is changing the game from beyond the arc. She's pulling up from distances that make defenders scratch their heads. And it's not just about shooting, her passing vision is opening up the floor in ways that are revolutionizing offensive strategies. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a WNBA player consistently draining threes from NBA rain? Clark's not just pushing the boundaries, she's redrawing the map of what's possible on a basketball court, and it's not going unnoticed. Have you checked the TV ratings for Fever games lately? They're through the roof. Ticket sales skyrocketing. It seems like everyone wants to catch a glimpse of Clark in action. And can you blame them? She's not just a player, she's a phenomenon. But here's where it gets really exciting. Clark isn't just changing her own game, she's transforming an entire franchise. Remember the Indiana Fever before Clark arrived? They were struggling, often overlooked in the league. Now they're must-see TV. Every game feels like an event, with fans on the edge edge of their seats, wondering what Clark will do next. And it's not just the fans. Players around the league are taking notice. Coaches are scrambling to come up with new defensive schemes. Because let's face it, how do you guard someone who can score from anywhere on the court and has the vision to find open teammates when you double team her? But let's talk about impact for a second. Clark isn't just breaking records. She's reshaping what's possible in women's basketball. Young girls watching her play aren't just seeing a great player, they're seeing a whole new way to approach the game. They're seeing that you don't have to fit into a traditional mold to succeed. You can be creative, you can take risks, you can play with flair and still dominate. And that's the real game changer here. Clark is inspiring a whole new generation of players. She's showing them that there's no limit to what they can achieve on the court, that with hard work, dedication, and a little bit of audacity, they can redefine the game in their own image. But what does this mean for the future of the WNBA? Well, it's not just about Clark, it's about the ripple effect she's creating. Other players are watching her success and thinking, why not me? They're pushing themselves to expand their range, to see the court in new ways, to take their games to heights they never imagined before. Did you hear about the biggest shock in women's basketball this year? The decision to leave Clark off the team has sparked a firestorm of criticism. Fans, analysts, even other players are questioning the selection process. Is it about experience, stats, star power? Whatever the criteria, it seems Clark checked all the boxes, except the one that mattered most to the committee. But here's where things get really interesting. Remember Coach Christy Sides? She recently dropped a bombshell. According to Sides, Clark's performance in practice since the Olympic break has gone through the roof. It's like the snub lit a fire under her, pushing her to new heights. You see, Clark isn't just talented, she's driven. And this Olympic snub, it's become rocket fuel for her ambition. Every shot she makes, every assist she dishes out, it's all fueled by that burning desire to prove the doubters wrong. Think about it. How would you feel if you were in Clark's shoes, watching the Olympics from home, knowing you could have made a difference? That kind of disappointment can break some players, but not Clark. She's using it as motivation, channeling all that frustration into her game. And the results? They're speaking for themselves. Clark's not just playing well, she's dominating. Her shooting range seems to have expanded. Her court vision, even sharper than before. It's like she's on a mission to show the world exactly what Team USA missed out on. But it's not just about the stats. There's a new intensity to Clark's game, a mix of joy and determination that's electrifying to watch. She's playing with a chip on her shoulder, sure, but also with a love for the game that's infectious. Every time she steps on the court, it feels like something special is about to happen. Now, some might say the Olympic snub was a blessing in disguise. Without the interruption of the Olympic Games, Clark's been able to focus all her energy on the WNBA season. She's building chemistry with her teammates, getting more comfortable with the pro game, and establishing herself as a force to be reckoned with. But let's be real, Clark would have killed it at the Olympics. She would have brought a level of excitement and skill that could have taken Team USA to new heights. Instead, she's using that energy to elevate the entire WNBA. Alright, let's talk about what's coming next for Caitlin Clark and the Indian Fever. The playoffs are just around the corner and every game counts. But there's one matchup that's got everyone buzzing, the Fever showdown with the Phoenix Mercury. This isn't just any game, it's a battle for playoff positioning. The Fever are breathing down the Mercury's neck in the standings, and a win here could be the difference between making the playoffs and watching from home. Can you imagine the pressure? Clark's not just playing for herself or her team anymore, she's carrying the hopes of an entire franchise on her shoulders. But here's where things get really exciting. The Fever's schedule? It's looking pretty sweet. They've got a string of games coming up against teams below them in the standings. That's like a golden ticket to climb the playoff ladder. Every win pushes them closer to that postseason spot, and you can bet Clark's gonna be leading the charge. Now, you might be thinking, sure, the schedule looks good, but can they actually pull it off? Well, that's where the team chemistry comes in. Coach Christy Sides has been working overtime to get this team clicking on all cylinders. And it's not just about Clark anymore. It's about how the whole team plays off her strengths. Remember those jaw-dropping passes Clark's been throwing? Her teammates are starting to anticipate them now. They're moving without the ball, finding open spaces, giving Clark more options. And on defense, they're communicating better, rotating faster, all because they trust each other more. But let's zoom out for a second. What Clark and the Fever are doing isn't just about this season, it's about the future of the WNBA and women's basketball as a whole. Think about it. When was the last time you saw this much buzz around a rookie? Clark's not just putting up numbers, she's changing the way people think about women's basketball. TV ratings are up, social media is exploding every time Clark steps on the court, and it's not just hardcore basketball fans tuning in. We're talking casual viewers, people who might have never watched a WNBA game before. They're seeing Clark play and thinking, wow, I had no idea women's basketball could be this exciting. And it's not just in the US, Clark's impact is going global. Young girls in Europe, Asia, Africa, they're watching Clark and dreaming big. They're seeing that it's possible to play with flair, to take those long-range shots, to make those flashy passes. Clark's showing them that there's no one way to play basketball. You can be yourself on the court and still dominate. But here's the kicker. This is just the beginning. Clark's only a rookie. She's still learning the pro game, still adjusting to the speed and physicality of the WNBA. Can you imagine what she'll be like in a year, 2 years, 5 years? The potential is mind-boggling. And it's not just about Clark's individual growth, it's about how she's going to push the entire league forward. Other players are watching her, learning from her, they're expanding their own games, trying new things. The level of play across the WNBA is going to skyrocket, all because one rookie decided to redefine what's possible on a basketball court.